Look, I'm inside my car, just whilst I admire it. Just love it. And there was me thinking this was going to be a quick job. Yeah, cleaned up the sill panel, kick panel, side trim panel things. They came out really clean actually, surprising. Used a bit of engine degreaser on the old gear. The old red goo seems to clean anything, that stuff. Really good. So, and also we've got a bit of progress now on the fuel tank cover thing. Not liking the light, it's too sunny. But yeah, it's looking pretty sweet, dead smooth. Started to get everything back together. Had to adjust the wire routing slightly because I've forgotten about this big centre cross member thing. So yeah, hey look, fuel tank cover looks sweet. Should come out nice. Now we're talking. Let me shift the plate back in. Check this for some tolerance. Like a glove. Now the reason there's two cap heads in there is because there was two bolt holes threaded, so I couldn't bung them up with my little grommets like these ones. So I put some thread lock in there and wound some bolts in. That way they shouldn't let any water in, hopefully, fingers crossed. Shifter ready to go on now. Handbrakes in. Haven't readjusted it out because I've got one of the calipers off, one of them on, because I was pissing around with wheel studs. But yeah, we're getting closer. I'm gonna go get my gear shifter and bung that in. Y'all gonna have to forgive me for a minute, just whilst I admire it. Just love it. Absolutely love it. It is like a work of art. And on the black base now on a silver tunnel, it looks so much better than it did before. Happy boy. Just did a little thing. I don't know if this is required or not, but there's this switch in the center console for the headlight angle adjustment. I've no clue if it's an MOT requirement or not, so I've left the plug out when I've taped these wires up, just in case. If it's not required when I go for an MOT, I shall take the plug out, cut it, tap the wires off, and tape it all nicely again. But just in case, I've got this random piece just sticking out, just for now. I was going to tape it down or something, but I don't want to damage nothing, so I'm just going to cable tie it just to there for now, and then we're good to go. This is a momentous occasion after a few months. In here, there's a load of stuff. And by a load of stuff, I mean seat brackets. So let's pull these out. See what we got. With a bit of luck, he's left me some bolts. Like a lot of brackets. Let's have a dig through. Well, bugger me chips, that was a royal faff. But anyway, there we go. M2 seat rails, one pair. Get them cleaned up, stick them in the car. Actually, I'm going to put seats on them first and then put them in the car. I think getting seats on in the car could be tricky, so we're going to do it that way. And there was me thinking this was going to be a quick job. I can honestly tell you that these rails are an absolute fucking pain in the ass, because you got to keep this part straight front to back, otherwise it doesn't slide at all. These things like to want to get twisted up. You have to bolt them in from the back side. I tried 3 different ways. I tried putting the whole seat together and then putting it in the car. That didn't work because the whole thing was contorted. In the end, what I did was put the frame in the car, put the mounts loosely on, drop the seat in, do the bolts for the seat up so the seat was all square in the things, did them up where they were happy, and then tried to work out what's what with the rails on the bottom. But even still, they're not quite right. They're still binding up. And I must have adjusted them at least 20 freaking times. However though, look at that, the cockpit is starting to come together. Shifters in, got 1 seat in. I was hoping to get 2. but I'm giving up for tonight. I've been out here for hours, so I'm freaking done. But yeah, we're getting there, guys. One more seat to put in, and then I'm calling it done on the interior. Just got to put the gear cables through the bulkhead. We're all good. Yeah, something missing here. So in famous fashion, seats come back out because we found a problem. These are the original factory Honda seat bolts that I had to purchase because I was missing bolts entirely. I think I had 2 out of 8. And you'll see they've got a washer and a spring washer on there. The trouble we have is the slot in the seat rail is pretty wide to the point where it was trying to pull the factory washer through the hole. So I've been over to Trident Supplies at Silverstone this morning, and I've got myself a spring washer, dirty grate penny washer, and a high tensile M8 steel bolt. Same spec as that one. It's a little bit on the longer side, but then we've got some thicker gear to go on it as well. So by the time that's all said and done, hold the camera in the right place, man, Jesus. By the time that's all said and done, the thread lengths are going to be about bang on. Not that it matters, because I can get at least sort of 8 to 9 threads in beforehand. So they're going to go in there. It doesn't go in that one, of course. It goes in this one here. Go in there, and then that wash is plenty big enough, and it self-centers on the bolt as well, unlike my test washers, because I did a test last night with a series of other washers. But you can see the holes. The holes in these washers are massive, so that's just wallowing around. You need it to self-center. So that worked to figure out what I needed, and then we managed to go and get all the right gear, and then we're pretty much good to go. So we're going to get all the bolts put in. We're going to do it properly this time. We're going to move the mounts around because these are apparently rear ones, so we're going to put them on the back, them on the front, so we can tilt the seat back. And then I'm going to measure up and square up the rails properly. And now I've had a test try in the seat, I now need to move the rails slightly towards the tunnel a little bit, as the steering wheel was offset too much for my liking. So we're going to adjust that as well. So fingers crossed, second time it all works out pretty good. So the rails were parallel front to back. Measured them just here between the studs and just there between the studs, and they were parallel front and back. These bolts, the nuts on the back of these side rails aren't even done up yet, so all I've done is drop it onto the frame, do up the bolts that are attaching the bracket to the seat so that they're squared up that way, drop them on, and I've not even tightened these up yet, but even still it's just grinding its tits off. So I'm probably just gonna have to leave it at that for now, until I can find another solution. But another solution will be required at some point, I'm pretty sure. Probably gonna do what I should have done first time round and weld the fucking proper seat frame in there. But these will serve a purpose, because I need to check where I want to be first in terms of distance to the wheel and everything like that. So lots to do. In other news though, I've got the shifter cables through the hole. Let's see, we go up through that. Pretty tidy really. Don't go down into the footwell too badly. Got to put the little bracket holder thing there. Something not quite right with this one. I think maybe the cable's twisted though. It's got quite a nasty noise, and it's incredibly stiff to go that way, and you can hear the noise. It's either that little plastic bushing needs lubricating up, or the cable just needs lubricating or whatever. Also the cable might be twisted the other end inside the bay, I don't know, but that certainly feels a lot heavier than I would like it on my left arm. Those 1-2 shifts will be quite difficult with it being so stiff. I know we can adjust it, so I'll probably have to fiddle around with that at some point. Screw you, bucket seats. Well, actually not the seats, the fucking things they sit on. This was an absolute fucking battle and a half. Proper battle. But we got there in the end. We now have 2 functioning sliding bucket seats. Cobra Monaco Pro. In red, obviously, because Honda. So that's my interior. Almost finished. Just the steering wheel and clocks to do. I'm going to test fit the new wheel that I've got just now, see how that works. And then we're pretty much good to rock and roll with engine stuff. Yes. Another quick little job we're going to sort out today is swap these clocks. I've got some pre-facelift clocks, so we're just going to whip these out and get them swapped over. Out with the old, in with the new. I swapped the plastic fascias over because this one was off the one I just took out, so this one's probably slightly newer. Being 99, and these are pre-facelift dials, so these will be probably 96 to 98. This one was in better condition with less glazing, less scratching, so I'll swap them over, but probably not going to plug that back in because that's for the SRS system, airbag system. We've disabled all that, we've removed all the airbags, removed all the seatbelt pre-tensioners, we've removed the SRS unit from down there. The only thing that actually remains is the passenger airbag, which I've not yet taken out. I'll do that another day. So I believe all that does is communicates to the dashboard if there's a fault, and there's a light bulb just in there. So we'll leave it out for now. If it causes me problems, I can just whip it out and plug it in later on. Yeah, that's it, new dials are in. That's so cool to being able to jump in and sit in the car. So you might notice that all the dials numbers read 0. There is method in my madness. I will be documenting this whole build in a document that will live with the car. So if it ever gets sold, it will have all of the build images, all of the dates of everything that happened, all of the spec on the engine, and all of the chassis mods that were done. It will also come with the original dials to verify the mileage as per the MOTs. The whole point of changing the dials all the way back to 0 is so that this car is basically going to be, it's a fresh build. So it's a 0 mile car. All of the chassis components are brand new or completely reconditioned on new bushes, new bearings, you name it. Everything's been basically new. Everything it rolls on is new. The only stuff that isn't been touched or isn't new is like the dashboard, the door cards, the interior panels, the wing mirrors, rear view mirror, roof lining. That's basically it. Everything else in this car has been touched, renewed, refurbished. So yeah, it might be a little bit controversial. People might not like that I've done that. It's going to cock up the VOSA DVLA MOT database. But anyone interested in this car, if I ever advertise it to sell it, it will be advertised as saying, had new clocks on this date, mileage was set to 0, current mileage reads this. If you want to know what the original shell has done in terms of mileage, then add the original mileage, which was this, to it. So it makes sense in my head, so I'm just going to send it. But anyway, look, I'm inside my car in a seat, and I have a passenger seat, and I have a bright, airy interior. This is pretty freaking cool. Yeah, boy. That's going to be about it for today again, I reckon. So, made quite a bit of progress. Got the bumper bar freshly painted, back on. We've got the scuttle panel restored and back on. Had loads of silver paint on the ends of it, not from when I did it, but from a previous paint job. So that was a nightmare. Had to use like 1200 grit sandpaper and then tons of black to black to get rid of it, and then razor blade on the end of the rubber. But painstakingly slow process, but we got it done. And the windscreen wipers have seen a little bit of TLC as well, so they look pretty new now. I said to the wife, I goes, have a look at the wipers. She goes, oh, they're new. I went, no, just been painted. So they've come out pretty good, to be honest. It's the little details, I think. It's the stuff that stands out to me. It just gives you an overall clean finished appearance like the bonnet stay as well. That's had a little coat of satin black as well. That PPG paint, that satin black is so nice, honestly. So easy to use, and the primer is excellent, so it lays a really smooth base down. But the seats are in, the wheels are in, the gear shifter's in. Can't get in there now because I've shut it all up, but yeah man, we are making progress. Don't know what to do with all this wire in here. I'm not sure if any of it's going to be used or not. I think that's the original engine loom plug. The original engine loom plug is there. There's a couple of other little bits on there, but that actually does go up into the scuttle for the wiper motor, so you kind of need that there. These might just get chopped or hidden because I'm not going to use those. So what I might end up doing is just clumping all this together and then getting some carbon fibre sheet and just make a blanking plate to cover this area. Got plenty of bolt holes here, so I just cut a piece of carbon sheet out and just cover that up just to tidy it up, because I like it to look tidy. Not over the top, but just, you know, neat is the order of the day. So man, it feels like we made some progress now. It feels like I've actually got most of a car done, so still loads to do. I'm not going to be blindsided by this progress because there's still lots and lots and lots to do, such as radiator brackets, which were bizarrely cut off of this car entirely, because I believe all the chassis would have had the pegs to take an AC condenser. This car doesn't have it. You see I've got one towing hook there. This side is missing one, but I now do have one of those, so I'm going to put that back on just so that it's what it, you know, it's got what it should have had. So yeah, again, moral of the story, don't buy half a car if you're going to start up a project. At least get a whole fucking car to start with, because it's just been a constant headache trying to find bits that should have come with the car and didn't. So onwards and upwards. Next step,